WTOP Television Sports presents Redskin Kickoff with Klaus, Wagner, and Frank Grant. On today's show, a look back at the victory over the New York Jets and a look ahead to the big game today against the Dallas Cowboys.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another segment of Redskin Kickoff prior to what has to be considered the game, the biggest game of the 1976 season for the Washington Redskins, their arch rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. And that's kind of fitting. This week, always in the Dallas rivalries, George Allen is very emphatic and is so motivated and is so intense that he has the team out there working day and night. We were lucky to get you away today for this thing, weren't we?
Day and night, yes. In extreme cold, yes. But, I don't know, getting up for Dallas, getting ready to play Dallas is a thing that most of the older guys who've been here, I say 3 or 4 years, know that it doesn't take much incentive to get up to play Dallas.
Now, this is our final Redskin kickoff of the season. Frank and I are just going to be reviewing some of the season, last week's game, and looking mostly ahead to this game and the importance of it in the 1976 season for the Redskins. So consequently, we have no guest. Frank and I will just be discussing it between ourselves. Last week, everybody says the New York Jets, aren't the kind of a team, it wasn't that impressive because we beat them 37-16.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say that a team isn't that impressive. They got a lot of positive things. Matter of fact, one of the most positive things I saw out there, and I think a lot of other people noticed it, is that their fullback, Mr. Gaines, he is definitely...
Looks very impressive.
Definitely,
very impressive.
They had cut him earlier in the year, and they brought him back, and I think he's the leading ground gainer now. I
think John Riggins really made the statement and clarified everything when he said, it was great that I had 104 yards in the first time that I got it, but it would have been so much better if I'd have done it against a really good team like the Steelers or somebody. I mean, everybody knew that you weren't playing a contender, a very good team.
Well, we played a team who made a statement in the paper. I hate to go back and
maybe John didn't make that statement.
Like, what happens today is more important than what happened last week right now. But it was a statement in the paper that said something about our offensive line, and it was great that they're happy for John Riggins playing with the Skins with their great offensive line, And I think our line took it on personally as saying, hey, listen, this is an insult to us, and let's go out and prove that, we can get the job done. We can get this guy 104 yards or whatever the case took.
We want to take a look at some of the highlights of that football game. I was surprised, personally, that Joe Namath did not get into that football game.
And I think that kind of told Joe, like, hey, listen, I'm not going in there because, we're not... Oh, that's a great catch by Roy right there. Great catch.
One of the touchdowns, Kilmer to Jefferson. This second play here, John Riggins, 104 yards. I believe he had on 19 carries.
19 carries.
2 touchdowns and caught 2 or 3 passes for...
For some people, it just takes them a while to get warmed up during the course of the game. It doesn't take them, one run, and if they don't make it on one run, then they'll make it on the next run. Maybe second half they may come through and make some big
That was a great second effort there by Mike Thomas. This is Calvin Hill. Calvin Hill also, he picked up 73 yards in the game. George really was able to, pull everybody in that game and just about clear the bench.
Well, that was good for us because, we really didn't get any injuries during that game. We were able to win that game when we got a lot of people some playing time. We had a lot of big plays made by guys that, normally you wouldn't see. Billy Malinchak, a guy who hadn't caught a pass in a regular season for 6 years, he comes in and he made a big first down for us.
I think that was great. He's such a great guy. I've met him a couple of times out there at the park, and he really is bubbles with personality, with enthusiasm.
He was bubbling after the game because he ran in the locker room. He's first in the locker room. He's first one in the shower, and he's running out of the shower. He's grabbing towels and he's drying off, and he stopped because his locker was a couple of lockers down from mine. And he said, hey, wait a minute, where are the reporters? Over here, I caught a pass, But, I felt really good for the guy because he's just the type of guy that he's dedicated to his job, that he's been playing special teams quite a bit. And he's made a hell of a name for himself by blocking punts and things like that.
Just Malinchak coming in the situation that he was in, working in New York in the commodities market for the last 3 games, possibly a chance to get into the playoffs. I mean, what a thrill for it is. On top of everything that's happened this season, the big names that have been signed, the controversies, now Malinchak comes back here the final 3 games, catches a pass, and this has been an incredible year.
Nellie Browse and Milo Hammond, and of course, Nellie and Milo have made their way back because that's where the activity is really going to happen. The noise in the background, of course, one of the Pirates has lifted that World Championship trophy high above his head, and of course, the people have broken for lunch in downtown Pittsburgh, and they're now here at Market Square where we are. But let's go back to Baltimore at Memorial Stadium for just a moment. A couple of weeks ago, before game number 1, I had a chance to chat with the sports director at WJZ, our sister station. Let's let you in on that conversation with Klaus Wagner right now.
Chilly night out at the stadium tonight, but good results, and I've just figured out Kenny Singleton's home run rate. I did this for Rick Dempsey earlier. I figured out at the current rate of home runs, Kenny will hit 81.
Is that up to the strike?
No, that's, well, he's got 3 now. It's 4 up until the strike. Yeah.
You know how crazy sports have gotten?
Yeah.
Here we got tonight, we got a winter sport being played indoors, and we got a summer sport that's being played outdoors.
Right.
Is that unbelievable? But they had a not too bad of a crowd for the type of weather they had. 7,473, and I'm sure that includes the 4,000 season ticket holders, and a lot of those were probably no-shows. But they did win 2-1, 2 in a row, back to 500 ball. And right now, after 6 games, they have as many wins as they did after their first 11 last year, when the record was 3-8. And every time Flanagan pitches, who hits a home run? Kenny Singleton. He did it in the 3rd inning. The Orioles went on top early, 1-0. If we can roll the highlights. There we go. Thank you, Danny. Gura was on the mound for the Royals. Housing, bridge, take 1, 3, 2, 1. Now, some of the players don't want to put up with the problems of the housing, so they move to apartment complexes, condominiums, like this right here. This is Key Colony. This is the Ocean Sound part of it. There are several thousand complexes here, and a lot of the Orioles stay here, like the Dowers and the Flanagans. Right up there on the 9th floor live the Singletons. Let's go on up and meet Ken's wife, Colette.
He has some interest in it, and rightfully so. And I think that the atmosphere at the Players Association today was a lot of optimism.
Is there anything they could negotiate into that contract and they make an agreement that would make you put the pads back on?
Not at all.
Okay, let's talk about some other sporting events happened over the weekend. Sugar Ray Leonard made his professional boxing debut at Baltimore Civic Center and was victorious in his debut over Puerto Rico's Louis the Bull Vega. 6 rounds, unanimous decision. Leonard here, we'll see him catching up in about the 4th round, where he predicted a decision by either a TKO or a knockout. But Vega had never been knocked out, and he was a much tougher opponent than I think Leonard or anybody thought. Lyle traded from the Yankees to Texas. Juan Benitez, Rigetti, and we'll tell you all about the trade tonight at 11 o'clock. That's sports. Al?
Some kind of Belmont running tomorrow, huh?
It should be a great race.
Yes, sir.
And you know, this has drawn so much interest. Everybody, people who didn't care about horse racing, but a lot of ladies and the ERA people, everybody are pulling for the filly. She's an underdog in a way, and everybody who never really cared about racing, I think, is going to be interested in this. Every faction, every level.
Absolutely right.
It really is.
Once you lost the Triple Crown threat, you figure there wouldn't be any interest.
Yeah, right, but it will be, and there's a good feel for it, too. We'll get to it in a moment. Right now, let me tell you first, the O's are up for a little while. We'll see if they hang on, but they do pretty well. They're starting a 10-game road trip out in California tonight. It's 2-1 right now after 2 innings. Scotty McGregor opening the game against the Angels against Bruce Keeson. And as I mentioned, they're up 2-1. I don't know how they got the runs. Just got the score called the stadium, and they will be out there for 10 days and then be back here again. Let's go to the scoreboard. The other games late also, New York and Seattle, just starting on the West Coast. In the 5th inning, the Brewers lead the Tigers 5-1. Boston and Oakland also just starting. You fans probably sitting right here in these seats have seen some great sporting events take place right here in the Baltimore Civic Center. You can just about name all of them. They've been here, from professional basketball, this year a very successful hockey franchise, and right here in this boxing ring set up now, Sugar Ray Leonard got his professional start, and you know where he's gone from there. Well, the city of Baltimore is bringing a brand new Major League professional sport to town this fall, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. It's professional indoor soccer, called the MISL, Major Indoor Soccer League, probably the fastest, most dynamic and exciting sport to hit the market in quite some time. A couple of other notes. The Braves are expecting Bob Horner to show back up in Pittsburgh for that series starting tomorrow, since the two sides have come to at least a concessionary conciliation, but Horner says he still wants to be traded from the club. And up in the Big Apple, the Mets have been fined $5,000 for derogatory statements they made about the Yankees. Apparently, they said their stadium, Shea, was safer and a safer safer area to be in than Yankee Stadium, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, and Steinbrenner filed a grievance, and the $5 grand fine was the result of that. Sonics last night, I'm going to show you the highlights tonight. The Lakers wrapped it up with Seattle, so the defending champions will not be in the finals this year. The final was 111 to 105. I'll have some highlights tonight at 11 o'clock. Of course, the championship series starts Sunday between the Lakers and the Philadelphia 76ers. NHL, the 4 Stanley Cup semifinalists back on the ice tonight. North Stars up 1-0 over the Flyers, and the Sabres down 1-0 to the Islanders, host New York for Game 2, and we'll have highlights also tonight. Leonard will get $3.5 million, Duran $1.5, and this is going to be a classic. I can't wait.
That's going to be a great fight. I can pick a winner for you in both of those fights, so if you'd like.
All right.
Leonard, of course.
Leonard, I'll
he's
go
fast
with that.
and he's a hard hitter, and for the first time in my life, I'm going against Ali. A little boo in the
Shame
crowd?
on,
Well,
shame
you know, I know. He's badly out of shape. I don't know if he can get back in shape.
Would you like to put a couple of fins on that?
I already have, as a matter of fact, with the same fellow said boo back. Well, we'll see. Anyway, it should be an interesting fight.
All right, time for Klaus Wagner.
What is it, the indoor action game?
Well, I would be the last person to know.
Would you believe me if I told you it was underwater polo?
Yes.
I know you believe me, don't you?
You have credibility, we believe you. Is it underwater?
No, it's not underwater polo. It's kicking. It's kicking. All the members of the Baltimore News media invited to a late news conference this afternoon at the Civic Center. A big but not surprising announcement.
25. Actually, it's a 26-man roster because Dennis doesn't count against the 25.
And utility man Floyd Rayford is also on that list. You'll see him. He can play second, third. He's a good backup catcher. Should be a good addition to the team. So Smith is gone, which should make him happy. He's wanted to leave the team, play on a regular basis with somebody else, and I'm sure he'll get his shot making his own deal. Martinez will be eligible to play again on April the 17th. Now, the first 4 starting pitchers have been named by Earl. Palmer will open up next Thursday. Then the rotation will go Flanagan, Stone, and then McGregor. Now, yesterday I told you about the upcoming article in Sports Illustrated about the Orioles' '79 season by Jonathan Yardley. Well, this is it. This is the cover right here. Keith Hernandez of the Cardinals is on the cover. And then the story is inside, headlined by Gimme an O, drawings of the players and the coaches, several of them right here. It's an article about 10 pages long. And here is part 2 of a look at the man who wrote it, Jonathan Yardley.
Jonathan Yardley has some pretty impressive credentials as a writer. He has a degree from Harvard, a writer for the New York Times, and way back he was doing stints, editorials, and book reviews for the Tar Heel down in North Carolina. He also had a job with the Times in New York, the Miami Herald, and most recently for the Washington Star. And now he's also the first regular book reviewer for Sports Illustrated. To do their best job, it's important for a writer to stay isolated. But like the rest of us last summer, with each victory, he became more and more mesmerized with the Orioles.
There was no question that I became very involved at various personal levels. There had been something of a risk for me in choosing to live in Baltimore as opposed to Washington, and most of my friends didn't understand it. And I quickly became very, very attached to the city. And somehow this team, for me, in ways that I don't talk about this in the article because I've never satisfactorily decided this part of the question, but this team represented me. Every note in the season was struck perfectly, including the final note. I somehow think it was proper that the Pirates won the World Series. I say in the article, and I firmly believe it was Willie Stargell's year. And if you look at it as a drama, it ended on the right note. I hope it's a piece that recreates what it was like to be in Baltimore last summer. And it's an unabashedly sentimental piece, and I hope it's entertaining. I hope that parts of it are funny. But most of all, I hope that it reminds people here and tells people elsewhere what it was like.
I really recommend reading it. It'll bring back a lot of memories of not only the games, but also the events surrounding the great summer that the Orioles gave us. It's the special baseball issue and just came out and may not be on the stand for another day or two. April 7th was the issue. Okay, this weekend the Eyes of Horsemen will be on Harford County for the Elkridge-Harford point-to-point event. It'll be a welcome home, big one for Charlie Fenwick. Randy Blair has more. Great accomplishment for Charlie, and if you like the sport and cannot make it to this weekend's event, you'll more than likely see Charlie in action at the Hunt Cup later this month.